وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So up till now we've covered the hadith relating to the importance of being dutiful to parents. First of all, that's where we mentioned how a person's character begins at home and how they are with the inhabitants of their homes. So first of all, we have the rights of the parents. Thereafter, we talked about the importance Islam has placed on Silatul Rahim, on family ties, blood relations, on establishing, joining, and then maintaining our relations with our family ties. That's what we stopped on last week. So now, carrying on with the topic area of one's family or one's relations, the next area which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the order that Imam al-Bukhari has brought these chapters in Adab al-Mufrad, the next area which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is putting his focus on was a very crucial area in relation to the history and context of the time. And we have to remember Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent at a time which was the peak of Jahala, or the age of ignorance. In this time of ignorance, in the time of Jahala, it is said about the people of Quraysh who thought of themselves that they were the best, but the rest of the world didn't see so. That's why we find none of the emperors of the world, none of the empires of the world even wanted to have any authority over them. These weren't people worth having authority over. That's what the Arabs will look down upon because of the level of the jahala and ignorance that prevailed within their society. And one of the practices which was prevalent in the time of jahala, the advent of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that they used to show no or very minimal rights to females. Women weren't given any rights whatsoever, and it was seen as there was a stigma that it was seen as though women are a source of bad omen, or they even thought that having a daughter was a bad thing for their family. They would have pride in having sons, but they would dislike and they would shun the idea of having to bring up a girl or a daughter. Hence their practice, the ignorant practice that was prevalent in their time, was that they would actually bury their daughters alive. That's why there's a famous hadith in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a companion brought to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they make a complaint to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They say that this person's always crying. He'll be sad, he'll be smiling, he'll be enjoying his day, and suddenly he'll just begin weeping and weeping away. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, what is happening to you? So he narrated the incident of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him after a very long time with a child. But that child then happened to be a daughter. But he loved his daughter so much, and he couldn't bring it to himself. He couldn't bring himself to go and carry out the practice of the Arabs and actually bury her alive, or murder her, you could say. And so he kept her hidden, and he joined he formed a relationship with her, a very loving father-daughter relationship, and he loved his daughter immensely. But then a time came where he realized that if I take my daughter out into society, it's going to be a stigma for me. It's going to be a sense of me losing my pride and my status. So therefore, he thought it is finally, I guess it's the time that I must go and I must carry out the practice of our culture and society. So he gets his daughter ready and he takes her, and the mother also realizes that something is happening. So his wife says to her that make sure you take care of the trust, the amana. Anyway, nonetheless, he takes her out of the city into the wilderness, and then he starts digging the sand, and his daughter is also helping the father dig in the sand. And thereafter, when the sand has been dug to a certain degree, then he takes his daughter and he unfortunately flings his daughter into this pit that he has dug. Thereafter, then his daughter is crying and shouting out to him, "Oh father, what happened to the trust?" Mother said, "Look after the trust. But he is putting soil and sand on top of her, and like this, he buries her away. And then he looks up at the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as he's saying this story, and he sees that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's face is drenched with tears. His beard is drenched with tears. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was immensely hurt and moved by this incident, by him just narrating his own incident. Now, this was the state the society was in when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent as a messenger to give rights to women, to elevate the status of women, to give women a say. That's why the first person that was giving rights to women was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He came to give them rights. Before that, they had no rights. Sometimes they were treated worse than even the animals in the different cultures. And still today, there are parts of the world, certain cultures and civilizations, that unfortunately treat their women folk in a very inhumane way. For example, when they are in the time of the month, they sometimes maybe putting them out of the home or in sheds or stuff like that. These are ignorant practices that are prevalent in certain societies and civilizations. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to give women their rights. So the first stage where the woman was given the rights, this is a lengthy discussion that we can go into very deep and have a very deep discussion how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to elevate the status and give rights to women. But nonetheless, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first attention was given to daughters. That no, this is an incorrect belief, an incorrect practice. A daughter will not bring shame on your family, rather the opposite. So we see the first hadith which Imam Bukhari brings over here, Babun man ala jariyatayn aw wahida. The person who looks after and provides for two daughters or even one daughter. And Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma says that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man kana lahu thalathu banat. Whoever has three daughters, he provides for them, he clothes them, he shows compassion and mercy towards them, فَقَدْ وَجَبَتْ لَهُ الْجَنَّةِ الْبَتَّةَ. That most definitely Jannah has become necessary or obligatory or compulsory upon him, most definitely. So there is Rasulullah sallallahu has put emphasis by the word faqad at the beginning, and thereafter he has put more emphasis that most definitely this person, just by looking after and providing for these three daughters, bringing them up, showing mercy to them, being kind to them, giving them the due fatherhood that they should receive from their father, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this itself will be a means of a person most definitely entering Jannah. Another hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned to the newest narration, that a person who looks after his daughters, brings them up, clothes them, and when the time comes for them to be at an age of getting married, also gets them married to a suitable spouse that is appropriate and which is then that also in that hadith the virtue is given of being a source of entry into Jannah. So a man amongst the gathering, فَقَالَ رَجُلٌ مِّن بَعْضِ الْقَوْمِ وَاثْنَتَيْنِ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, even two, O Messenger of Allah. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وثنتين. That even if it is two daughters, a person doesn't have to have three only. Even if a person has two daughters and he raises them, he looks after them, he provides for them, he loves them, he shows compassion upon them, that also bringing up those two daughters will also be a source of a person entering Jannah, or a means of a person entering Jannah. Now the hadith ends here. However, Imam Ahmed in his narration, when he narrates this narration, he has an addition in which he says, فَرَأَى بَعْضُ الْقَوْمِ أَنَّهُ لَوْ قَالَ وَاحِدَةً لَقَالَ وَاحِدَةً. That some people were of the opinion, some ulama of the scholars of hadith of the opinion, that even if that person in the majlis of the gathering had said, what about if a person had one daughter, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam most definitely would have also said one daughter. And similarly, we find actually a narration in Imam Bayhaqi Shu'b al-Iman where there is a mention of one as well. Nonetheless, Imam Bukhari has showed his appreciation towards the opinion of one daughter also in the title where he says Man ala jariyatain aw wahida. So according to Imam Bukhari also, even if a person brings up one daughter, looks after her, shows cares for her, shows her compassion, shows her love, and he feeds her, he clothes her, and then when the time comes to get them married off, he marries them off, then that looking after and caring for that daughter will be the means of a person entering Jannah. Now look at that, the difference between where society was at the time where women are being buried alive, that they have no status or ranking, and over here just by being kind to them, that itself is a means of entry into Jannah, subhanallah. The next hadith, the next chapter, bab, man ala thalath akhawat, and Abi Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال لا يكون لأحد ثلاث بنات أو ثلاث أخوات فيحسن إليهن إلا دخل الجنة. So in this hadith, it's not restricted to only daughters. If also a person has sisters, so a person maybe is the elder brother, and maybe whether in the absence of the father or in the presence of the father, the person takes care of his younger daughters or even older daughters. The person takes care of his sisters also, So a person لا يكون لأحد ثلاث بنات, none of you has 3 daughters, or أو ثلاث أخوات, or 3 sisters, فيحسن إليهن, and he is kind, he is gentle, he is compassionate, he is caring for them, إلا دخل الجنة, except that act itself will be the means of entering Jannah. And then there is the next 2 hadith require slightly more of a lengthy explanation, and it's to do with, okay, a person now has looked after their daughter, was kind to their daughter, brought their daughter up, and he even got them married off. But now, unfortunately, the marriage didn't work out. And let's say maybe the person, the daughter was divorced and has been sent back home, or maybe the husband who she was married to maybe also sadly passed away. So now this daughter may come back into the care of the father. Now, this is a very important concept here, that a person should not think that I am the one providing. This is what Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to rectify our conviction and our faith and our belief, that it is Allah who is the provider. We are, in whatever capacity, whatever we're doing in our life, we're working hard, we're sweating away, working away hard, long shifts, working away, so that we can take care of our children, of our families. That is not us taking care of them. That is Allah using us as a means to also give us sustenance, but also provide for them. We are not providing for them. We are not providing for them in way whatsoever. It is Allah who is making us the means to provide for them. So now if a person has a daughter that has been widowed or divorced and now has come back to the care of the father, that's why the chapter here is Bab Fadlu man ala ibnatahul marduda. The virtue, the reward or the virtue, the special status of a person who looks after and provides for and cares for that daughter that is returned back to him, whether that is due to the husband being deceased or whether the husband being widowed, and she therefore maybe the husband didn't leave any inheritance for her to be independent, and sadly she has had to resort to the home of her parents and back into the care of her parents. Now, sometimes if a person is not financially stable or able to continue providing, especially when a person reaches a certain age where it's more difficult or more financially straining to provide, maybe they may have kids also, so that is also an additional burden to have to provide for. Now, in that state, what should a person's mindset should be? What should a person be doing? And Musa ibn Ali and Nabiha and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال لسراقة ibn جعشم ألا أدلك على عظم الصدقة. Prophet ﷺ said to Sadaqah, shall I not tell you what is the greatest form of charity? أو من أعظم الصدقة, or amongst the greatest forms of charity? He said, most definitely, بلى يا رسول الله, please do tell me. قال ابنتك مردودة إليك. That daughter of yours which has been returned to you, ليس لها كاسب غيرك. She does not have anyone to provide for her or care for her except you. So you are the sole provider now for your daughter who's come back to you, because maybe her husband didn't leave any inheritance, or maybe she's been divorced, maybe she's got nothing, she's got nowhere to go, she has to come back to you. You're the only source of income for her. So for you to provide for her, care for her, and take her back into your care, that act in itself is, according to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's hadith, the greatest form of sadaqah, or if not, then from amongst the greatest forms of sadaqah. We have quite a few lessons from this one hadith that we can take. Number one is, it is very important to correct our understanding of charity. We are very charitable, mashallah, a community, whether that's our community in Leicester, whether that's our community, Muslim community of England. We generally are known and recognized as a very charitable community, and we are constantly giving in charity. But sometimes we notice that our charity is going across the globe, but there are people within our extended family or immediate family or our family members that are actually in greater need at that present moment for your help and donations. They have no one to turn to. They are scared or apprehensive because of the religious duties of going to a bank to apply for a loan, because of the concept of interest possibly, which is haram for us as Muslims, or maybe they are uncomfortable asking other friends or people, and maybe our family members are the only people who you can actually fully always trust. Because maybe sometimes out there people will try to be your friend, pretend to be your friend, but there's no real loyalty like blood. So now our charity is going everywhere, where there are people in our own families or in our own extended or immediate families that are in need of our donations and our support. Are we actively looking out to see who needs our support in our family? Rather, we're the opposite. Oh, they've got a house, they've got a car, they've got a phone, they should be all right. We don't even ask. We ask, how are they? That's it. But we don't ask, how are they actually doing financially? Do they need any help? I remember when I used to be studying at Darul Uloom, and there was one very senior, respected individual who'd always come to visit Darul Uloom also, and we were fortunate to spend a lot of time with. So whenever he asked, after he would ask me, are you okay? He used to ask, are you in need of any money? Do you need any money? Do you need anything? Do you need me to get anything for you? Do you need anything? Now, I Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't put me in a state where I was actually desperately in need of having to ask for his help, but the fact that he was there to show that it was something that I appreciate till today, and I will appreciate for the rest of my life, that he was probably one of the only individuals that actually physically asked me, do you need help? Do you need any financial support? Do you want me to help you out in any way? Now, sometimes we don't know, just because someone apparently on the outward form may seem to be well off or in a good state, we don't know actually deep down what state they will be going through. And so it's very important that within our families and within our homes and within our internal or immediate or external families, within our, like last week we were talking about the importance of Silatul Rahim. So from the ways you can establish and maintain your kinship and ties of kinship is by being that helping hand for your family. Your sadaqah going elsewhere is going to get you reward still, but this is a greater form of sadaqah. That's why we have here your own daughter who's come back to you. Okay, it's not permissible to give zakat, but anything other than your yearly zakat, it is permissible for any other sadaqah that you have. If they are deserving or in a state that they can get that, you must give that to those people that need it the most. And charity begins at home. That's why it's a very famous saying, charity begins at home. So that daughter of yours, that's now, we're onto another stigma within our society. We think that, oh no, my daughter's now been divorced, no one's going to ever want to marry her again. And we have a very bad culture in our society where once a sister of ours, daughter of ours has been divorced, then that's it, she just has to stay at home for the rest of her life. No, this is against the concept of Islam. We look at the Sahaba, they'd be the whole point of a system of iddah. Why does a person after losing her husband have to sit in iddah? Is to ensure that she is not carrying the child of her spouse, whether divorced or deceased, to ensure that now she wants to get married again, she's ready to marry again, there is no doubt or there is no chance of getting mixed up with who the parent of the child will be. That is the purpose of iddah. Now, every daughter of ours, or sister of ours, female family member of ours, that their husband passes away, or they have been divorced, sadly, they are sitting in iddah, we hope, mashallah, they are sitting in iddah, but then that's it, we just leave them to rot in their homes. No, look at the practice of the Sahaba. Salama and Abu Salama, a great example from the Sahaba ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. Abu Salama is on his deathbed, he's about to pass away, and he makes dua, oh Allah, grant Salama a husband greater than me. So she's shocked, she goes, how can I find a husband greater than you? Look at the love and the affection and the respect they had amongst each other. That she said, how can I find someone better than you? The way you've treated me, I don't think any human or any man has the capacity to love me and provide for me and care for me and treat me the way you have. he passes away, and then after she's completed her iddah, she is later on in her life, she is not very later on, very soon after that, she is married to who? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She gets the status of Ummul Mu'mineen. She gets to be the wife of the greatest of all human creation, the greatest of all humanity, the source of mercy for the entire cosmos and creation. She becomes the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now Abu Salama is making dua that, okay, I may have been able to treat you in a certain way, but maybe after I go, you will get someone better than me. And she is not staying, no, I had such an amazing husband, how can I marry someone else now? No, life moves on. That's not being unloyal or unloving. This is the system of life. This is the way a society has been nurtured by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. These ahkam of sharia and rules in Islam, they come from amongst those things. These are to build a family unit and to build a society. To get that society to flourish and flow, we need to keep this system going. So if a person has sadly been divorced, it's okay. Maybe they need some time to come back around and bring themselves, build their confidence. Maybe they've lost their loved one, they've passed away. But it is a very important aspect of Islamic teachings from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from the practices of the great Sahaba. I just narrated the incident of Salama radiallahu ta'ala anha, that no, once a person's gone through that stage, after that they can and they should, not they can, they should remarry. They should continue and aim to continue living their life. Their life is not over. They must not have to just stay at home. But yes, if she is in a state where she does not have the ability, and over here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Laysa laha kasibun ghayruk." She has no one to provide for her except for you. Then for you to provide for her is the greatest form of sadaqah, or from the greatest forms of sadaqah. And that's why this is very important for us to understand as a society and as a community, that we should not look down on people that have been divorced or that have lost their spouse. Rather, we should give them their support financially, we should give them their support psychologically, morally, and also spiritually. And in whatever form they need support, we as the family, we as the society and community, we should be the ones to support and care and provide and look after these people that go through these difficult times in their lives. And thereafter, we should continue that support by further finding them a suitable spouse, helping them find a suitable spouse, helping them maybe psychologically, mentally, to get to the state where they're ready for that next stage of their life, and not make them think that their life is now ended, but no, they still can continue living and have a new life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us true understanding. This is why we have the concept of looking after your daughter that has been brought back to you. We also touched upon the importance of sadaqah, charity to your family members. And there's one more final hadith in this chapter relating to daughters, because now if a person is at the stage where they think it's extremely difficult to provide for daughters and women because they have so much more needs, maybe to buy more things, maybe because they've now hit puberty, there's more things they need to buy to look after their hygiene and sanitary pads and etc. So now there's more spending, there's more financial burden on the provider. No, we are not the providers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the provider. So a person should never think negative in these ways. That's why the next hadith, the Imam Bukhari says, Bab man kariha yatamanna maut al-banat. The karahiyya, the dislike in Islam, the disapproval or the disgust in Islam for wishing. Now this is a very evil thing to wish for, but to wish for your daughters to pass away. Now, why would a person come to this stage? Because they're finding it financially, so they find it difficult to maybe bring them up. Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, it's athar. If you remember a few sessions ago, I differentiated between athar and hadith. Over here is the athar of Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, that أن رجلا كان عنده, there was a person who was sat with him, who was with him, وله بنات فتمنى موتهن. He had quite a few daughters, and he wished that these daughters, because they were too much for him, he wished that they would pass away. فغضب ابن عمر. Ibn Umar got extremely angry, and he said, أنت ترزقهن? Are you the one that's providing for them? No, this was a rhetorical question out of anger, but he said, are you the one that's providing for them? No, Allah is the one providing. How can you even comprehend and bring yourself to have this thought that you wish that your daughters were no longer there? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to act upon what has been said, grant us the ability to be kind, caring, compassionate, loving, caring to those that of us that our parents have got daughters, to our daughters, if we have sisters, to our sisters, or to any female folk within our homes, within our families, immediate external family, and then to a larger, to the society and community at large. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum.